Come back to studio, and as I mentioned, Ambassador Jack Tumwa joining us now. He is a former commissioner with now disbanded ECK, Electoral Commission of Kenya, as it used to be called. Of course, now we have IEBC. Thank you, Ambassador, for being with us.
Thank you.
Let's speak up from what we're hearing from the religious leaders. Do you think we should be having serious prayers at this point when you look at the political landscape in the country, and more importantly, the election preparedness?
Prayers, yes. We have 125 days to the elections.
Yes.
The events around the country don't show like we are prepared for a peaceful elections like we are all wishing for. Wanjiku, all over the country, is praying and hoping that we are going to have a peaceful elections. But the events, our political class are doing everything to the contrary. We don't appear like our political class is set for that peaceful elections. The events that happened in Migori yesterday indeed are very, very saddening. It is very, very unfortunate that within this short time, we are having our politicians inciting the youth, taking advantage of the poverty, taking advantage of the unemployment to use our youth to do such a things.
Right.
It is frightening because if it can happen today and within one party, you can imagine what is going to happen when we are just coming to the elections.
Yes,
yeah.
And we are heading to nominations. What are your concerns going to that? Because we saw what unfolded in Migori. We're hearing on one hand the governor saying assassination attempt. The DCI is now looking into the same. Are you concerned for this nomination? Should the country be perhaps at some point be considering moving the election, do you think?
Moving the elections is out of question. I think we have to have elections as scheduled. What we need to do is to all forces, and I'm happy that this morning I heard that the prosecutor has ordered the DCIA to follow up this case as quickly as possible and bring those who were involved to book. We want him to do that, and of course demonstrate that he will impartially get these people, because tolerating some criminal activities and calling them political is actually what brings us to this level. This is precisely what happened when we were coming for election 2007. There were lots of political hooliganism, but the security apparatus seemed to say these were political crimes. They were not interested in stopping them. I think we have to take very, very serious view of what is happening and put a corrective measure now, not tomorrow.
So you have an IEBC that has a lot on its plate, a very stringent timelines as well they're working with. What, in your view, from the experience you had in the debunked ECK, do you think they should be putting into consideration, putting in place to deter, to make sure they curb this kind of events from unfolding with the nominations that are coming up and the elections later on?
I'm very happy with what the IEBC is doing, because they have brought together all the government agencies, the police, the CID, the Ethics and Corruption Commission, all these bodies. They have had a meeting, and they're all planning on ways and means of getting a free, fair elections. I think this has to be done. We have to force it to those who may not want to do it, because this selfish approach by our politicians to push us to get to a stage where this country will be fighting, like we did in 2007, is very, very unfortunate. And I pray and I hope that the government agencies charged with the responsibility of keeping law and peace will not leave anything unturned.
Yeah. Before we wrap this up, as the country watches, as you said, we have that countdown running, 125 days to go to the elections. What are those red flags? What are those things to look out for as the political class, as Kenyans, as we go to the polls and vote for the next leaders, as the IEBC?
You know, election is not an event, it's a process. And everything we do now is building up to the election day. When we say we want peaceful elections, all the actors, especially so the political parties, have to demonstrate that in the course of their campaign, they are doing that focusing on peace. But what is happening now is not that. Look at the hate language that the religious groups have made reference to. Look at the malpractices, like when you have public servants going out openly to campaign for certain parties.
Yes.
You know, these are irritants that make other people feel what is now happening. Lawmakers, for heaven's sake, should not be the law breakers. So if the civil servants are not expected by law to go and do a campaign, I think it's very, very unfortunate that now we are having the cabinet secretaries fronting the elections campaign like they're doing at the moment. It is not good for this country.
All right. Many thanks, Ambassador. We thank you
My
for
pleasure.
making the time for us here on News.